Welcome back to another iDoctor UK video, episode 2 Q&A. So we're going to talk questions. Thanks for all your interaction on the post, what I posted last week. I would say it's a success. I got a few questions. I'm going to answer them today, as well as some other questions, what we got on TikTok. I didn't pick any from Facebook, but next week we'll do that. So I'm going to get started right away. Highway Rider 9165 says, which glue do you use for display adhesive or back panel fix? Please tell. It is a 2-part cold press adhesive. I'm not going to promise a link in the description because someone called me out actually in the comments the other day. But I will get a screenshot of it or something like that and I'll put it bing on this video, just there. Right there. As well as that, so we use that 2-part glue, which is really good, and the good thing about that is it sets really quickly, so like 10-15 minutes it's set. It's really good for bonding screens onto the front of displays if you're doing screens without frames attached. It's really useful for that. We also use a silicone based adhesive which is called Permatex, and we use that generally for watches because it's silicone based, it's waterproof, it's very good, and it gives a very good seal on Apple watches. And just checking the rest of your question. For the back covers, so things like Samsung back covers, if we can't get the genuine adhesive for the back cover there, we use Tessa tape. So we've got 5mm or 10mm Tessa tape, and we essentially make up our own screen seal for back cover seal. It's not going to give it the water resistance that it once had, but it's definitely more water resistant than when they're broken. 100%. Next question, please. So I Repair Midland says on TikTok, have you tried the new XCap Connect batteries? So Replace Base actually sent me some iPhone 11 ones to review, but I've not had a chance to have a look at them. I've heard good things about them though. I'm not sure how I feel about like leaving the old BMS inside the phone. It just seems a bit strange. The way that they work is it's like where you see us chop the battery management board off the battery and then stick it onto a new cell. The XCap ones, they've got an aftermarket BMS attached to it with an extra clip or a tag attached to it so that you can plug in the old BMS, and it means that you don't have to do any spot welding or soldering, which I'm well aware that a lot of people have lots of problems getting it to stick. I was having a conversation with one of my friends this morning about how they struggle when they're using the welder. What I will say about welding them, it takes a lot of practice to get it right, and you just got to touch it the right way to make it work. Otherwise, you just get loose connections, which will cause problems with batteries down the line. And it's just one of them things that you've really got to practice. I'm going to try and put like another video out in the near future, sort of diagnosing some common problems when you spot welding batteries, because I get asked about it a lot, and there is some little tricks what I've figured out myself to help with that. Next question. AO on TikTok again says, which program do you recommend for screen, Face ID and battery replacement? So I think by program they mean programmer. My number one recommendation would be the JCV1S. We've used that for years. There is an upgrade I spoke about in the previous episode, the JCV1SE. I don't know what the big difference is. I think it's just a bit more capable or something like that. But you get the programmer, and then you get different attachments for it, so you can get the battery one. There's something to do with Touch ID, Face ID. It'll read and write that on there, and screen reprogramming for True Tone. So yeah, JCB1SE, very good programmer. Next, a YouTube comment, Asham8874. I think we have just covered that. But you asked about batteries as well, so I'll just cover that real quickly. If you have a look on the TikTok video that I posted last week, there is a video of me doing an iPhone 13 Pro battery, and instead of using the programmer, I use a tag-on flex. Those tag-on flexes are really useful. I've got mixed reviews for certain brands. I'm not going to slate the bad ones, but I highly recommend the Amp-Centrics ones. We pick them up from iPods for You. In the States, you can get them from Mobile Centrics. And it's just a little tag-on flex. You plug it onto the battery after you've swapped the battery management board over. Plug it into the phone. At first, it's going to give you that non-genuine warning. Then you disconnect everything, reconnect everything, turn the phone back on, and you should be at 100%. Once it's reprogrammed it back to 100%, then you can take that tag-on flex out. And like I was saying before, you don't have to leave anything inside the phone. There's nothing additional, which we like to avoid that because they can get in the way. Same when you're doing like the Face ID with the reprogramming the cable and all that. You can, there's two ways of doing it. You can do it by repairing the dot projector, or you can add the tag on flex. That tag on flex can get in the way and it can come loose as well. So you just got to be aware of that. User UK2KM3WX90 says, I broke my whole iPad by doing that. They might be German. Ist not that easy, and now I have to pay even more to repair this whole thing. I'm not sure what they broke their iPad doing. I didn't see which video that it was on. Maybe talking about how to remove the screens easily, but there is a big risk. You have to use a lot of heat to get those iPad screens off. They are difficult, and if there's like a small chip or crack in the glass, then it'll break really, really easily. So just beware if you're removing iPad screens. You probably already know this if you're watching this, but just be so careful with them, because they can be expensive if you bust the screens on them. Cracked Drools on a video of replacing the screen said, will this fix lines and weird colours on the screen? You have to excuse me today because I'm fucking hungover as well, by the way. So does this fix lines and weird colours on the screen? Talking about a screen replacement, it's really common on LCD screens or backlit screens to get like blotches, lines, glitches, looks like the fuzzy old TVs. And generally, if you're replacing the entire front panel, then you will get rid of all those problems. It's not very often that we see phones where they've got problems with the GPU causing lines and stuff on the screen. So generally, if you've got problems like with the phone showing picture, like lines and that kind of thing, then it will most likely be the display. It's very rare that it's something else, but not unheard of, but yeah, you usually get that after impact. On OLED screens, so on newer models of phone, you often get a green line, so you call it the lightsaber sort of line, or white line, an entirely white screen, or like black ink stain looking marks on the screen. That's pretty common too. This was my #1 favorite comment of the week. Maybe we should do that, like going forward. We'll pick one comment, what's my #1 favorite. Somebody said, if I put chocolate on the ear speaker, will this help? It was liquid. See, it sounds like they're asking if they put chocolate in the ear speaker, will it fix it? I don't think that's it. I think there might be some language barrier there where they're actually saying if they've got chocolate in the ear speaker, will it fix it? I don't think isopropyl alcohol will break down chocolate. I definitely have had a phone in with chocolate stuck in it before, and I think the way that we did it was removing the screen, melting the chocolate and brushing it out like that with a toothbrush or something. But yeah, it's not unheard of to get chocolate inside a phone. Is this the same screwdriver for outside or inside? I don't know, but just beware, lots of different screwdrivers for lots of different screws, especially inside iPhones. Like generally you've got the star screwdriver at the bottom, I can't even remember what it's called, pentalobe screwdrivers, a star-shaped 5-point pentalobe. Tri-wing screwdriver, crosshead screwdriver, and then you'll need a standoff screwdriver as well if you're taking apart iPhones. iPads generally, they're all crosshead screws inside them, and then Samsung devices are generally all crosshead screws, with the exception of probably Google Pixel, which use a Torx screw. But so yeah, it's handy to have a good set of screwdrivers if you're planning on doing phone repair. Next question, Chef 3XP said, my iPhone 11 Pro recently had charging issues and the technician removed the battery. While reassembling, he did not put any adhesive on back of the battery. Now I feel my battery is heating a lot. Does it because of no adhesive of battery? Do adhesive act as thermal paste like the one we use in case of computer processor? Please let me know, and also if you can share a buying link, anyone else facing similar issues. So the heating thing, I'm not sure about. I couldn't tell you, but I know for a fact that if you don't stick batteries back down and you shake the phone and it's rattling about in there, then it will cause lots of problems with the phone. Usually what happens is the cable for the battery gets damaged over time, just like moving around a little bit. I see it a lot where you might go to a repair store and they use a little bit, just like tiny strips of tape to stick batteries down. It just doesn't work very well. You need to be using the that pulls the stretchy adhesive. I don't really know the name for the battery adhesive, but you need to use proper battery adhesive. That's the bottom line. It doesn't always have to be the exact specific one for that battery, because you can get, like, say an iPhone 7 battery adhesive. You can cut them up and stick them on the back of the battery and make them work. Next question, it's back talking about resealing devices. We've got a common theme here today, and somebody's saying about it being waterproof. Like I said before, they're not waterproof again, but they said RVI PVO says, I haven't seen that you have put glue or something for back cover or battery, and it looked like it is glued while you were disassembling the phone. Quite often when I'm recording the videos for the Samsung disassemblies and reassemblies, it's a fairly long-winded process and it just makes the video very boring and nobody would watch it essentially. But yes, we use Tessa tape for resealing, like I was talking about before, but I just wanted to address that while I'm thinking about it. I keep feeling like somebody's creeping up behind me or something. Will you tell me if somebody's coming? Kate Judson 8907 says that they were watching all the way from Tasmania, way down under, on the previous video. Thank you so much for the free advice. Well, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate everybody who watches these videos. I think I put a story on Instagram the other day and we'd reach 5 million views at some point this week. So that's overall channel views, which comparing to the TikTok, which does millions and millions all the time, it's a real big achievement for me, so I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. Which glue are we using? We've done that. Apple won't repair the iPhone X model any longer, even if you have Apple Care. I'll just do it myself now. Thanks. So that was on a video for an iPhone X battery. We see quite a lot of those coming into the shop. So any device that's about 3-4 years old, they start, and older even, they come in for batteries very regular. And you're right, that's because Apple do not repair those devices. They'll just charge you for a new one and give you a trade-in price on the iPhone X. And then I believe that they then get circulated around the markets. I imagine that they have a massive pile and they get distributed out through auction or through recyclers. I'm going to check through and make sure that we've covered all the questions from this week. People talking about those XCap batteries, we talked about those. Please, can you explain how you get rid of the important message with just deflex cable? I think we talked about that already. Hopefully you will be covered, AO. I feel like I remember that name. I think we covered it. I'm just rambling here. Like I said, I'm hungover. I went to a funeral yesterday and my head hurts today and I'm just waffling now. So that just about concludes this episode of Your Questions. Make sure you leave some more questions for me to answer. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.